From the very beginning, most of us are taught that when a man is already taken, married, or tied to someone else, the only acceptable move is to step back, accept his situation, and quietly hope that one day he might change his mind. It sounds proper, it even sounds noble, but this advice hides a deep and uncomfortable truth about how men's hearts really work. Men do not always choose a partner based on loyalty or logic. They choose based on a pull, on that place inside them where something feels awake, alive, and deeply seen. This is not about manipulation, games, or stealing anyone away. It is about understanding the psychology of male desire and how attraction moves far below words and promises. A piece of paper does not erase attraction. A man who feels seen, stirred, and inspired in a way he has not felt in years may start questioning everything around him. People whisper that this makes no sense, that he should simply stay where he is, and yet the heart rarely asks for permission. That shift is not born from begging, proving, or persuading. It is born from presence, mystery, and quiet confidence, qualities that reach beneath his conscious mind and wake a want in places even he cannot explain. Stay with me, because this next part is where everything begins to change. The first mistake most women make with a man who is emotionally distant or already tied to someone is the urge to convince. They list their worth, they show their devotion, they prove their loyalty again and again, hoping he will finally notice and choose them. At first glance, this looks like dedication. It even looks romantic, but the truth is the opposite. Pushing never wakes desire. Pleading rarely moves a heart. Pressure makes people hold on tighter to what they already have, even when that thing no longer excites them. Think about your own life for a moment. When someone tries too hard to sell you on an idea, a product, a belief, or a relationship, do you move closer or do you instinctively pull away? Attraction does not grow under pressure. It grows in freedom, in curiosity, in space. When a man feels trapped into a decision, he runs back to the safety of his current life. Not because it is better, but because it feels less heavy in that moment. And here is where most people get it wrong. They believe that more effort means more love. In reality, effort aimed at convincing him only pushes him further into the arms of what he already knows. And here is where people get it wrong. Now comes the strange twist. The moment you stop trying to convince him, you create curiosity. You create room for him to wonder, to feel, and to choose on his own. And a choice made freely is the only choice that ever lasts. The woman who does not waste words proving her worth forces him to feel her worth without any words at all. It happens in that gap, in the silence, in the quiet mystery that makes his mind keep coming back to her. Slowly, he stops seeing her as one option among many. He starts seeing her as an answer. But this only works if you truly understand the power of silence. Most women panic when a man grows distant. They flood the space with messages, reassurance, and energy, hoping to drag him back closer. Yet the psychology of the heart says something very different. Silence can weigh more than 1,000 words. It makes room, it creates tension, and it forces him to notice the absence of your attention, the very thing he may have started taking for granted. When was the last time you let an empty space just sit there, instead of rushing to fill it? Wait for it. This is the part nobody talks about. When you stop flooding him with your constant presence, he notices. He starts asking where your attention went and why he no longer feels it pouring into him. And that wondering is the seed of desire. Because desire never lives in what is always available. It lives in what is rare, unpredictable, and full of meaning. Now, silence is not about punishing him or playing childish games. It is about balance. It shows that your life has its own rhythm and that your time and attention carry real weight. A woman who does not rush to fill every empty space breathes confidence. She shows independence. She proves that her world does not spin around him. And that kind of energy is magnetic. Sometimes the strongest way to pull a man closer is to step back, because silence creates mystery, and mystery creates craving. The woman who knows how to stay quiet at the right moment is often the one who speaks the loudest inside his mind. She does not chase the silence away. She lets it speak for her. Keep that thought close, because mystery is one of the strongest currents of attraction that exists. and we are about to see exactly how it works. Men do not always choose the woman who looks best on paper. They choose the woman who makes them feel something they cannot fully explain, a kind of electricity that skips past logic. Mystery is the fuel behind that electricity. When you do not reveal everything about yourself too early, you leave space for him to imagine, to wonder, and to want more. Predictability kills the spark. If he already knows what you will say, what you will do, and how you will react, the tension simply dies. But when you move with depth and carry layers he has not uncovered yet, his mind cannot stop circling back to you. He replays small moments. He searches for meaning. He leans in to discover more. This is not about pretending to be someone you are not. It is about guarding your inner world and letting him earn deeper access over time. Attraction is not built in the comfort of the fully known. It is built in the fire of curiosity, in the spaces that make him lean forward and pay attention. A person who has no hidden rooms becomes boring in weeks. A person with depth becomes a mystery he wants to solve for years. And that hunger to know more is the beginning of something far stronger than simple interest. When you hold on to your own unique life, he understands that your world is not a script written to please him. It is a living, breathing story, and he must earn a place inside it. That alone creates an emotional pull that words can never match. Now, think about what most women are taught about winning a man. They are taught to be available. Cancel your plans, move your schedule, reply in seconds. Make sure he knows you are always ready. On the surface, that looks like love. In reality, it wipes out the very tension that feeds attraction. When a man senses that you are permanently accessible, he stops reaching for you. There is no urgency, no risk, no fire left. Desire only grows in what feels unsure, in what could be lost. Picture a rare flower that blooms once a year. People travel miles just to see it, because it is scarce and special. Now imagine that same flower blooming every single day, everywhere. Nobody would treasure it at all. It would simply become part of the scenery, easy to walk past without a second look. That is exactly what happens to a woman who is always there. The same rule applies to your attention. When it is always on, always instant, always guaranteed, it becomes background noise. Scarcity is what gives your presence its power. Being too available also sends a quiet but dangerous message that your whole world revolves around him. And nothing drains attraction faster than that imbalance.
A man does not crave what he feels he already owns.
He craves what feels bright, independent, and alive on its own. He wants to feel that your life has meaning with or without him, because that depth is what makes your presence heavy with value. Here is the paradox. The more you try to show your devotion by being constantly present, the less your presence is worth. You become predictable, like a song played on repeat. But when silence falls and you step back, your presence suddenly feels electric again. Your absence is the quiet gap that gives your music its power. So protect your time, protect your attention. Let him notice when you are not there, because in that gap he begins to crave you all over again, not because you tricked him, but because desire is born in scarcity, not abundance. It always has been and it always will be. When you begin to live these qualities, presence without pressure, silence with dignity, mystery without pretense, and independence without apology, something deep begins to shift. You start choosing yourself. You stop building your life around whether he notices you, whether he picks you, whether he stays. You begin to give off an energy that says, I am whole, and you may enter my life, but you will never be its center. That energy is magnetic. It is the doorway to confidence, and confidence is what we turn to next. Confidence is not loud. It is not aggressive. It is quiet, grounded power, the calm knowing of your own worth. It is the understanding that your value does not rise or fall with his attention or his hesitation. When you move from this place, you become unforgettable, not because you are trying to be, but because confidence, mystery, and independence wake something in him that words could never reach. He starts to feel alive, he feels challenged, he feels inspired, and somewhere underneath all of that, he begins to sense that he could lose you. And that feeling changes the whole game between you, and that fear, the fear of loss, shakes him awake in a way no speech ever could. This is not manipulation, this is nature. Human beings do not treasure what they assume is permanent. They treasure what they sense could disappear. The moment you stop being permanently available, you send the clearest message possible. You are rare. You are valuable. You are not to be taken for granted. This whole shift from convincing to embodying, from chasing to choosing yourself is what turns you into the woman who leaves a mark deeper than vows, deeper than promises, deeper than logic. Confidence is the quiet engine that turns everything you have just learned into lived reality. It is not a mask. It is not arrogance. It is not pretending not to care. Confidence is the steady flame of knowing your own worth. It is walking into a room without needing to be the loudest voice in it, because your energy is already speaking for you. A confident woman does not obsess over every text or panic at every silence. She does not fold at the first sign of hesitation. She holds steady, knowing her value does not change just because someone cannot see it at this exact moment. She does not need a man's approval to prove she exists. She already has her own. Think about the people who stayed with you long after they left your life. They were not always the most beautiful or the most popular, but something about them shone. They moved with an inner steadiness that felt unshakable, and that presence was magnetic. Men are pulled toward that energy because it signals strength, stability, and self-respect. And here is the deeper truth. Confidence does not only change how he sees you, it changes how he feels about himself when he is with you. A man beside a confident woman feels lifted. He feels more capable, more alive, more himself. He begins to crave not just her attention, but the version of himself he becomes when she is near. That is why confidence holds so much power. It creates a space where he links you to his highest self, not to his smallest fears. When a woman is unsure of herself, a man feels heavy around her, like he is carrying something. When she is grounded, he feels light. He feels strong. He feels like a better man, and he will walk through walls to stay close to the person who makes him feel that way. Confidence also draws boundaries without saying a single word. It tells him, I do not chase, I do not beg. If you want me, rise to meet me. And boundaries like that do not push men away. They pull men forward. They separate the serious from the curious. They show who is willing to invest and who is only passing time. Think of it like gravity. When the center of your self-worth is strong, people orbit around you. They adjust to your energy. They respect your time. They consider your needs. But when your center is weak, you are the one orbiting them. You shrink, you bend, you give up pieces of yourself, hoping to be picked. And the more you bend, the less attractive you feel both to yourself and to them. The irony is that many women believe confidence is something you put on to make a man like you. The truth is the opposite. Confidence is what grows when you stop living for his approval and start living for your own joy. And this is the part that changes everything, so stay with me, because what comes next is where all of this becomes real. It is not about the right clothes, the right lines, or the perfect pause. It's about building a life so rich and so grounded that any man who wants to be part of it has to bring his best self to the table. When you are grounded like that, your energy changes. Your messages are never desperate. Your silences are never manipulative. Your boundaries are never threats. They are simply the natural expression of a woman who values herself. And that energy cannot be faked for long. It comes from living as if your growth, your passions, and your dreams are non-negotiable. Confidence also changes how you handle uncertainty. When a man pulls back, the insecure response is to chase him, demand answers, or sink into self-doubt. The confident response is to stay steady, breathe, and keep living your life. That steadiness sends a signal. You are not dependent on his approval. You are not defined by his distance, and that makes you exponentially more attractive. Why? Because a man can feel the difference between a woman who needs him to choose her and a woman who has already chosen herself. The first one feels like a weight on his shoulders. The second one feels like a current pulling him towards something alive. Now we come to one of the most powerful dynamics of all, letting him feel he could lose you. Nothing shakes a man's certainty like the possibility of loss. As long as he believes you will always be there, always forgiving, always waiting, always answering, he has no reason to move. But the moment he senses your attention slipping, something old and primal wakes up inside him. We do not treasure what we assume is permanent. We treasure what we fear could vanish. If he knows you will always forgive, always wait, always answer, he will never fight for you. But when you stop waiting, when you take your energy back, when you show him your life moves forward with or without him, something in him begins to stir. What if she moves on? What if another man sees her worth? What if I lose her for good? Those questions start echoing inside his head, and they do not fade easily. And it is not only desire those questions wake up, it is regret. And regret cuts deeper than attraction ever will. Letting him feel he could lose you is not punishment. It is not a game. It is simply truth. You are not guaranteed. You are not an endless resource. You are rare, and rarity demands respect. Think of a precious jewel. If it is left lying unguarded on the sidewalk, anyone can pick it up and toss it aside. But if it is kept in a glass case, protected, admired from a distance, people will move mountains to earn the right to hold it. You are that jewel. If you hand yourself over to a man who hesitates, he will never see your worth. But if you step back, he feels the loss before it even happens. And that feeling is unforgettable, so let him feel it. Do not rush to calm his doubts. Do not erase every silence with reassurance. Let him sit in the tension of maybe losing you, because inside that tension, decisions get made. Either he steps forward with clarity, or he shows you he never deserved you at all. This is how confidence and scarcity meet in the middle. It is how you move from being an option to being the choice. It is how you build a space where he must rise to meet you or drift away. And one more key to this shift is realizing that your whole world does not spin around whether one man picks you. It spins around your growth, your passions, your friendships, and your future. When you pour into those things, your energy becomes rich and layered. You stop being a blank canvas waiting for someone to paint on. You become a living picture already in motion. And that is where real magnetism lives, not in performing confidence, but in actually living an independent life. A man feels the gap between a woman who has built something meaningful and a woman who is waiting to be saved from her own emptiness. One says, "I can stand alone, but I would welcome you beside me." The other says, "I need you to fill the hole inside me." The first one is irresistible. The second one drains everyone around her. This independence also makes your mystery deeper. The less predictable your schedule, your reactions, and your world, the more his curiosity grows. He wants to know what you are doing, who you are with, what you are creating. And that curiosity feeds attraction because it breaks the usual pattern of his days. Your mystery is not about holding back affection or pretending to be busy. It is about genuinely being busy living. It is real passions, real friendships, real goals. When he texts you, you are not sitting by the phone waiting. You are out there building your world, and that energy is magnetic because it is real. In this way, confidence, mystery, and scarcity weave together into one single fabric. They are not separate tricks. They are the natural expressions of a woman who knows her worth, guards her time, and builds a rich life. And inside that fabric, desire takes root, not the shallow kind born from games, but the deep kind born from respect, fascination, and emotional pull. Remember this one thing, because it is the heart of everything. This is why the woman who chooses herself is unforgettable. Men may be drawn to beauty, to excitement, to the new, but the woman they cannot forget is the one who refuses to forget her own worth. She is the one who does not wait in the shadows of his indecision. She steps forward not as a plea, but as a force of nature. When you live this way, the strangest thing happens. The moment you stop needing him to choose you is the very moment he feels the strongest pull to do exactly that. Because men are not drawn to empty space. They are drawn to light, to the woman who shines in her own glow, who stands firm in her own energy, who is not defined by whether he stays or goes. As your confidence grows, so does your power to shape any connection. You stop taking part in relationships that shrink you. You stop settling for half-hearted love, You stop begging for scraps of attention. You become the chooser instead of the chosen, and that single shift changes everything. It does not only change how men respond to you, it changes how you respond to yourself. It rewires your standards, your limits, and your sense of what is possible. You stop asking, will he pick me? You start asking, does this situation feed my soul? That one question moves you from the waiting seat into the driver's seat, from waiting into creating, from hoping into living. And from here, the next step is to anchor all of this confidence in action, in daily choices, in boundaries, in a way of living that makes your worth something you can touch. Because it is one thing to understand these ideas in your head, it is another thing to live them. In the next part, we will look at how to bring this into your everyday life so you naturally become the kind of woman who is not only wanted, but deeply respected and chosen. Confidence is not just a feeling, it is a practice, a way of living each day that quietly announces your value without a single word. You have seen how silence, mystery, and independence create room for desire. Now we go deeper into what it looks like to live these ideas so fully that they stop being strategies and become your natural state. The first practice is taking your time back. So many women lose themselves by letting every moment be interrupted, moved, or given away for someone else. They answer every message at once. They drop their plans at the first hint of his availability. They shrink their schedule until nothing is left that belongs only to them. Over time, this wears away self-respect. It tells you and everyone else that your life is an empty room waiting to be furnished. To turn this around, you must start guarding your calendar. Put your passions first. Fill your days with meaningful work, movement, friends, and learning. Treat these things as sacred, not optional. When a man wants your time, let him fit into your world instead of tearing your world apart to fit him. This is not arrogance. It is healthy ownership of your own life. It tells him, and more importantly, it tells you, that you are not a blank canvas, but a story already being written. A woman with a full life is never desperate for company, and that fullness is exactly what makes her company so rare and so valuable. The second practice is emotional self-control. When a man pulls back, most people go into fight or flight. They text more, they demand answers, they spiral into worry. But the woman who truly lives this does something different. She breathes, she grounds herself, she reminds herself that someone else's wavering does not define her worth. And that small pause changes everything. When you stay calm in the middle of uncertainty, you give off stability. And stability is rare. Stability is magnetic. In a world where almost everyone reacts on impulse, you become the one who responds with a clear head. That steadiness creates a quiet pull. It makes the other person feel safe enough to come closer instead of pressured to run away. The third layer is growing your own mystery, not as a trick, but as a natural result of living a full life. Mystery is not about hiding affection or inventing drama. It's about letting parts of yourself unfold slowly over time. When you meet someone new, you do not have to pour out your whole life story in the first few weeks. You do not have to explain every plan, every thought, every emotion. Hold some space. Let discovery happen slowly. This keeps your sense of self whole, and it also builds anticipation. And anticipation is a close cousin of desire. When he does not know exactly what comes next, he leans forward. He imagines, he wonders, he feels a spark. By pacing the way you open your inner world, you give him the gift of pursuit, and pursuit is what keeps desire alive. You also deepen your mystery by tending to the parts of your life that have nothing to do with him. Keep your hobbies, keep your friendships, keep your dreams, travel alone, learn new skills, feed your inner world. These things do not just fill your time, they enrich your energy. They make you more compelling because they prove you are not standing still. You are growing, and people are drawn to those who are growing. The fourth practice is the hardest one of all. It is learning to sit with someone else's discomfort. When you stop overgiving, when you stop being endlessly available, a man may feel unsettled. He may test your limits. He may show frustration. That is normal. For years, he may have been used to women who gave too much. When you do not, it forces him to step up or step away. Your job is not to rush in and smooth over every uneasy moment. Your job is to let that discomfort do its work. This does not mean being cold or cruel. It means holding your ground with kindness, but also with total clarity. The discomfort is what pushes him to grow. Without it, he never has to rise. The fifth practice is showing your confidence in the way you communicate. Speak clearly and directly about what you need, but without drama. Use sentences that start with I. Say your boundaries like facts, not threats. For example, instead of saying, "If you do not call me back, I will never see you again," you say, "I value communication. If that is not something you want, that is fine, but it will not work for me." That kind of clear, calm strength shows you respect yourself enough to name your standards. Men may push back at first, but deep down they respect clear boundaries. Boundaries show that your attention has value and that your emotions are not free for anyone to trample. They also filter out people who are only half interested. And yes, losing someone who is not ready can sting, but it is a gift. It frees your energy for someone who is ready to meet you where you stand. The sixth practice is remembering that attraction and respect must exist together. Some people build attraction with mystery but then lose respect by tolerating poor treatment. Others demand respect but forget to feed desire. The power lives in balancing both. Confidence, independence, and mystery light the fire. Boundaries, standards, and self-respect keep it burning. If you catch yourself slipping back into old habits, chasing, over-explaining, shrinking, pause, take a breath. Ask yourself this question: if I already knew my worth beyond any doubt, what would I do right now? Then act from that answer. This one question can move you from reacting to leading your own life in a single moment. Seventh, and most important, become the woman who chooses herself every single day. That means making decisions from self-worth and not from fear. It means saying yes to things that feed you, even when they scare you a little. It means saying no to things that drain you, even when they promise closeness. It means honoring your own energy before you hand it to anyone else. Choosing yourself is not selfish. It is the only way to offer real love. Love without self-respect turns into dependency. Self-respect without love turns into isolation. But when you blend self-respect with true warmth, you create a relationship where both people are free, both people are growing, and both people are pulled toward each other instead of chained by fear. When you practice these habits, something quiet but powerful happens. Your value becomes visible without words. You do not have to announce it. You do not have to convince anyone. People can feel it. They sense it in your posture, in your tone, in your priorities. This is the kind of energy that leaves a mark long after the conversation is over. Long after the excitement fades, the memory of how you carried yourself stays. He remembers the way you did not collapse when he pulled away. He remembers the way you smiled and went on with your life. He remembers the way you held your ground with grace. That is why some people stay in our minds long after they leave. It is not because of what they said, it is because of how they made us feel about ourselves. And when you live with confidence, independence, and mystery, you create a space where a man feels inspired, challenged, and fully awake. He begins to crave not just your attention, but the version of himself he becomes when he is near you. And that is the deepest pull of all. So take this with you. Stop chasing, stop proving, stop making yourself small to fit into someone else's hesitation. Choose yourself, build your life, guard your light, and let him feel the quiet weight of what he could lose. Because the woman who knows her worth does not need to be chosen. She simply becomes the choice. And once you understand that, nothing about love will ever feel the same again.